dialing in espresso with some home equipment. Now, today we are going to brew Bandwidth. This is the coffee that we use in our cafes, and we're going to dial in espresso on our Breville Bambino using a pretty stock machine. You can get really into upgrading these machines, but this one's stock. The only thing I'm going to be using today that's extra is this puck screen that goes on top of your tamped coffee grounds. So when you're dialing in espresso, you need to balance the right grind setting, and you need to hit the right amount of brewed water through the coffee grounds. So when we're brewing espresso, we're adding pressure to the coffee and brewing a concentrate. Now, we have to get the right grind setting to do that, and espresso grinders can get pretty expensive. So if you have an entry-level burr grinder like this, it will struggle to give you espresso grinds, and it takes a very long time because the burrs in the motor aren't really strong enough. Now, if you brew espresso with a step up, the Virtuoso here, this will work, but there aren't many grind settings on this machine that will allow you to really dial in and fine tune your espresso. So while this one, it'll grind much faster and it'll give you an acceptable espresso, it's not as good as a dedicated espresso grinder. So here I have another option. This is what I got for my house. Now, you do have to put the work in with a hand grinder. This is one designed for espresso, and your hands will get a little tired using it, but you get a lot of fine tuning that you can do with your espresso with a dedicated espresso grinder. And this was just a cheaper option, and it doesn't take up as much space. The other two ways to brew espresso is with pre-ground espresso. And if you buy coffee from us, we grind it on our Malkonig EK43 at setting 2. And it is fine. It's very fine espresso grinds, but it's not so fine that we are going to potentially clog your machine. So a pre-ground espresso from us will get you acceptable espresso, but it's not going to be as good as grinding it yourself. And the other thing to take into consideration with pre-ground is as it ages and gets older and older, your shot times will change quite a bit, and it will taste more and more stale as the time goes on. And lastly, a lot of these machines come with these pressurized baskets that only have one hole on the bottom. And this is a single shot basket, and then this is a double shot pressurized basket. What I have in here is a standard double shot basket. I would suggest getting rid of the single shot baskets. They don't work that well. And the pressurized baskets are really designed for somebody who doesn't have a good grinder. So if you have a grinder like this and you want to grind fresh, you can grind on the medium fine grind setting, use your pressurized basket, and what that will do is build up pressure in your espresso puck as it's brewing to get somewhat of a decent espresso. But once again, not as good as having the correct grind setting with an espresso grinder. So some of the other pieces of equipment that you're going to want to have when you're brewing espresso at home is definitely a scale. These are very cheap nowadays. You can get them very easily. Your machine should come with a tamper. It's nice to have a timer so that you can track how long your shot times are. And you want good filtered water that is tasty to drink. And of course, fresh roasted coffee beans. And with espresso, you actually don't want coffee that's super fresh. Like within a week off roast, it's a little soon. The coffee still has a lot of gas to release, and espressos will brew better like 2 to 4 weeks off of the roast date. So let's talk about recipe. When we're talking about recipe for espresso, we are talking about the dose that's going into your portafilter, the grind setting, and the ratio of how much brewed espresso is making it into your cup. So we measure that by weighing the output of your espresso. So a common recipe that we're going to start with is 15 grams of coffee into the portafilter. Multiply that by 2 for 30 grams out into your espresso cup. That's a 1-to-2 ratio when we're talking about espresso ratios or espresso recipes. 1 to 2 is pretty common. You can go up to 1 to 3, but what you're going to miss out on with a 1 to 3 espresso is some of that texture, body, the richness. But with some coffees that are more fruity, they might taste better with a higher ratio, closer to 1 to 3. The last variable with our recipe is the time. How long does your shot time take? You want to dial in your grind so that your shot time is about 25 seconds. So for an output of 30 grams, if that's only taking 15 seconds, you need to make your grind setting finer so that it lengthens the amount of time it takes to get your espresso into the cup. And if your espresso is clogging and going really slow and taking 30, 40, 45 seconds to get into your cup, you're probably grinding way too fine and it's going to taste bitter, a little too overwhelming of a taste. So coarsen up your grind, bring down your shot time to closer to 25 seconds.